Greetings to those who watch below. Today we're going to be taking a look at some more creatures from folklore, specifically yokai, a family of Japanese spirits that are wide-ranged and varied, with, of course, a few creepy ones in there. But before we start, I'd like to say thank you to Steffi Ray, Lisa Watts, Lefty Kim, M.A. Way, Julie B, Jess Black Curtin, Christina Groves, Chris BLK Chris, Canopsia, Tegan S, Tesos Karamaris, and LT Punisher 666 for being those who dwell below, an exclusive channel membership that gets you shoutouts at the start of every video. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hitting that notification bell so that you never miss a video. And if you like the video, of course, make sure to leave a like. But for now, sit back, relax and enjoy. Nopperabō. Nopperabō resemble ordinary human beings in almost every way, and blend in perfectly with human society. However, the illusion is quickly shattered when met face to face. Well, Nopperabō actually have no face at all. Their heads are blank orbs, with no eyes, nose, mouth, or features of any kind. These mysterious yokai are encountered on quiet, empty roads late at night, when nobody else is around. Like many yokai of this kind, their main activity seems to be scaring humans. This they do remarkably well. Nopperabō usually appear in the guise of a man or a woman with his or her back turned to the observer. When approached, the yokai turns around and reveals its terrifying true form. To maximise the effect, they often appear with a face at first, and then wipe their face off dramatically with their hand at the most opportune time. Nopperabō revel in the terror they inflict upon their unsuspecting victims. Nopperabō often work together in groups to scare one individual. As their victim runs away in a panic from the first Nopperabō, they run into another person who asks them what is wrong. When the victim explains what they saw, this person replies, "Oh, you mean like this?" and wipes their face away, exactly like the first Nopperabō. They are even known to impersonate close relatives of their victims, and sometimes a poor man will run all the way home having run into multiple faceless monsters, only to tell his wife what he saw, and to have her reply to, "Oh, you mean like this?" Yamata no Orochi. Yamata no Orochi is a gigantic serpent with 8 heads and 8 tails. It has bright red eyes and a red belly. The beast is so large that its body covers the distance of 8 valleys and 8 hills. Fir and cypress trees grow on its back, and its body is covered in moss. Yamata no Orochi appears in the earliest written Japanese documents, the Kojiki and the Nihongi. Without a doubt, the legend goes back even further into prehistory. Ages ago, the storm god Susanoo was thrown out of heaven and descended to earth at Mount Torikama near the Hi River in Izumo province. There he came upon an elderly couple of gods named Ashinazuchi and Tenazuchi who were weeping. When Susanoo asked why they were crying, they explained that they once had 8 daughters, but every year the 8-headed 8-tailed serpent Yamata no Orochi demanded one as sacrifice. They were now down to their 8th and final daughter, Kuchisake Hime. Soon it will be time for Yamata no Orochi to demand a sacrifice. Susanoo explained that he was the elder brother of the sun goddess Amaterasu, and offered to slay the beast in return for Kuchisake Hime's hand in marriage. The elderly couple agreed, and Susanoo set in motion his plan to defeat the serpent. First, Susanoo transformed Kuchisake Hime into a comb, which he placed in his hair. Then he had Ashinazuchi and Tenazuchi build a large fence with 8 gates. On each gate they raised a platform, and on each platform they placed a vat. They poured extremely strong sake into each vat. When this was finished, everyone waited for the serpent to arrive. When Yamata no Orochi appeared, the great serpent slithered into the fence and noticed the powerful sake. It dipped its 8 heads into the vats and drank the alcohol. Soon the monster fell into a deep, drunken sleep. Susanoo used this chance to make his attack. He sliced the enormous beast into tiny pieces with his sword. The carnage was so great that the Hi River flowed with blood. When Susanoo had cut the creature down to its fourth tail, his sword shattered into pieces. Examining the part of the tail which broke his sword, Susanoo discovered another sword within the creature's flesh, the legendary katana Murakomu no Tsurugi. Susanoo eventually offered Murakomu as a gift to his sister, Amaterasu, and was allowed to return to heaven. The sword was passed through the generations in the imperial line of Japan. It is one of the 3 pieces of imperial regalia, along with the mirror Yato no Kagami and the jewel Yasakini no Magatama. Today, the sword which came from Yamato no Orochi's tail is said to be safeguarded in the Atsuta Shrine in Nagoya. Kuro bōzu. A Kuro bōzu is a dark, shadowy yokai which somewhat looks like a bald-headed Buddhist monk. However, its exact appearance is vague and difficult to make out. Its entire body is black, and it wears black robes. Its face has some bestial features, a long tongue, and it reeks of rotting fish. Its hands and feet are said to be indiscernible. It can change its height rapidly, becoming a towering monster in an instant. It is extremely fast, and can run as fast as if it were flying. Kuro bōzu haunt areas inhabited by humans. They come out at night, sneaking into houses after everyone is asleep. They creep up to their victims, primarily women, and suck the breath out of their mouths. They also slide their putrid tongues into the mouths, ears, and all over the faces of their victims. Those visited repeatedly become very ill. Kuro bōzu didn't appear in folklore until the Meiji period, so they are relatively new by yokai standards. Because of the wide variations in reports, it is hard to come up with a clear picture of this yokai's identity. Some experts believe they are a kind of Nopperabō, due to their vague and indiscernible features. Some compare them to Yamachichi, who also sneak into houses to steal the breath of sleeping humans. Its size-changing abilities and monk-like appearance suggest that it may be a variety of Taka and Yudo. Still others say it is one of the forms taken by magical Kawoso. The most well-known Kuro bōzu report comes from the early Meiji period, from a newspaper article in the Hochi Shinbun. The encounter took place at a certain carpenter's house in Kanda, Tokyo. At midnight, a black, shadowy figure shaped like a monk suddenly appeared in the house. The creature entered the bedroom where the husband and wife were sleeping. It climbed over the carpenter's sleeping wife and stuck its tongue in her ears and mouth. Then it licked her all over. The creature smelled like foul garbage. The smell was so noxious that the family became ill. Again and again for several nights, the Kuro bōzu returned to assault the carpenter's wife. Finally, she could not put up with it anymore. She left her husband and went to stay with some relatives. According to the carpenter, after his wife left, the black monk stopped coming. Tenome. Tenome take the appearance of an elderly Zato, a kind of blind guildsman. Its face has no eyes at all. Instead, it has eyes on the palms of its hands. Tenome wander through fields or graveyards at night, hunting for tasty humans. They wait until their prey is very close before attacking. By the time one is able to recognize that they are face to face with not a Zato but a yokai, it is often too late to escape. Tenome can run very quickly, and while their vision is not particularly strong, they have a powerful sense of smell, which helps them follow their victims in the dark. Tenome's true nature is not known, but they are most likely the ghosts of blind men who were robbed and murdered by thugs. This explanation can be traced to a folk tale in which a man is attacked at night by a monster with eyes on its palms but none on its face. The man flees to a nearby inn for shelter. He tells the innkeeper what he saw, and the innkeeper replies that a few days ago a blind man was attacked and robbed out in that field. As the man lay dying in the grass, he cried out with his last breath, "If only I could have had one glance at their faces. If I only had eyes that worked, even if only on the palms of my hands." The old blind man's resent-filled death caused him to be reborn as a yokai, with eyes on the palms of its hands, just as he wished. In Shichijo, Kyoto, a young man entered the graveyard at night as a test of his courage. From out of the darkness, a blind old man approached the young man. When the elderly figure got close enough to be seen in detail, the young man saw that it had eyeballs on the palms of its hands, and it was coming after him. The young man ran as fast as he could to a nearby temple and begged the priest for sanctuary. The priest hid the man inside of a long chest and locked the lid. Shortly afterwards, the monster entered the temple, sniffing loudly as if it was hunting. The young man could hear the sniffing noise getting closer and closer, until it stopped right next to the chest he was hiding in. Then there was a strange slurping sound, like the sound of a dog sucking on an animal's bones. A little while later, the eerie sounds vanished, and all was quiet. The priest opened up the chest to let the young man out, but all that was left inside of the chest was the loose, empty skin of the young man. His bones had been completely sucked out of his body. Kuchisake onna. This is undoubtedly one of the most famous yokai there is, and a source of some fantastic urban legends, and also a couple of films. The Kuchisake onna is the ghost of a woman who was mutilated and has come back to wreak vengeance on the world. Her name comes from the deep, bloody gash which runs across her face, grinning from ear to ear. She appears at night to lone travellers on the road, covering her grisly mouth with a cloth mask, a fan, or a handkerchief. Kuchisake onna, or the slit-mouth woman, sneaks up on her victims in the dark and asks if they think she is beautiful. If the victim says yes, she pulls off her mask and reveals a red, blood-dripping, grotesque mouth. Then she asks in a grisly voice if they still think she is beautiful. If her victim answers no or screams in terror, she slashes him from ear to ear in an imitation of her own mutilation. If he lies and answers yes a second time, she walks away, only to follow her target home and slaughter him brutally that night. The spirits of the dead who were killed in particularly violent manners, abused wives, tortured captives, defeated enemies, often do not rest well. The Kuchisake onna is thought to be one such woman. However, during the Edo period, a large number of Kuchisake onna attacks were blamed on a shape-changing kitsune playing pranks on young men. During the 20th century, the blame began to be placed on ghosts, serial killers, and simple mass hysteria. This resulted in an explosion of Kuchisake onna sightings over Japan. Over the years, clever young people claimed to have outsmarted Kuchisake onna by delivering quick, confusing answers, or by throwing money or hard candy at them. This buys them enough time to escape from the wrath of the slit-mouth woman and lose her in the darkness. Hi guys, thank you so much for listening to today's video. Yokai are one of the things in this world that absolutely fascinate me. There are so many of them to explore and check out. So if you want a second part to this video, please let me know because I'd be more than happy to do so. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a thumbs up on this video. Also, if you enjoyed it, make sure to share it on your social media. That way we can bring more people to the channel and everybody can enjoy this together. So, until next time, sleep tight.